In one of the Harry Potter movies, Albus Dumbledore walks up to Harry and he says something which I believe to be one of the most powerful life advices I've ever heard in cinema, let's say. He says, "It is our choices, Harry, far more than our abilities, that determine what we are." So true, right? So powerful. I think this is something which is applicable in all domains of our lives. But of course, we need to understand what it really means. We need to open up our eyes to actually see that this is truly applicable almost everywhere, right? You see, one key difference between animals and humans is that humans have the ability to choose. Um, I know purists will come at me and say that this is wrong, but hear me out. We are not just driven by our urges or our thoughts or our emotions. At every moment, especially if we are self aware, especially if we are aware of what is happening in our own minds, how it is happening, why it's happening, if we are aware of our own thoughts, our own emotions, if we can be still in the situation, of course, there are a lot of ifs, but if we can do that, if we can let the situation not take control of our complete being, if we can be present in the situation, we can of course choose to act in one of three or four multiple different dimensions where we could act, right? Moment by moment, we get a choice that to choose what we want to be, to choose what we want to do in a situation. And that is something which distinguishes us humans from animals. That is why we are above animals on the evolutionary scale, right? But of course, it involves all of those different ifs. And that is exactly what Dumbledore would have wanted to convey. You can choose at any moment in your life far more than what you're able to do in that moment. It is the choice that you pick in that moment which defines what you are. There is this very famous interview which Harsha Bhogle did a while back. A little clip of that interview is where Harsha is talking about Sachin. And he says that he's always heard people say that Sachin is the most gifted, most talented batsman there ever has been. And he says they're right about him. He has been one of the most gifted players ever. But he says what gets missed out is all the different choices that Sachin made to actually become Sachin Tendulkar. He says he's grown up just making so many sacrifices, taking so many different hardships on himself that have actually resulted in him being the phenom that he has actually become. But people choose to very easily ignore that, just say that this guy is a very talented guy. But no, it is far more than his talent, far more than his abilities. It was all the different choices that he made at critical junctures of his life that determined who he is, right? So, if you ever end up delving into the topics of free will, your conscious and unconscious self, etc., I think you would end up at the conclusion that at every moment in our lives, we get the choice to pick a path, let's just say. And it is those moment by moment choices that end up determining, as Dumbledore says, what you are, right? And that matters. It matters far more than what your abilities are, right? It matters far more than what your talents are. You can always have, not always, but you can have the talent to, let's say, make $1 million. But what matters more is how you choose to make them. What matters more is what you choose to do with them, right? Choose consciously. And this also reminds me of that another quote: in a world where you can be anything, choose to be kind. Now, before you start acting on that quote, I would advise you to check out episode 7 of my podcast, where I was talking about what real love and real kindness actually means. And a hint, it does not mean what we want it to mean. So make sure you check it out. I think it will resonate with you. Until next time, peace out.